Look, we spend so much of our lives just operating on autopilot, right? We cling to our comfort zones and trust things that honestly simply aren't true. Well, today, we are going to fix that. Okay, let's just dive right in by shattering a golden rule. Breakfast isn't medically essential. It was actually pushed by John Harvey Kellogg in the late 1800s, basically just to sell cornflakes. And from there, food companies in the 1900s completely ran with it because, well, calling their cereal essential was absolutely fantastic for business. But the science, it just doesn't back this up. Intermittent fasting, which literally involves skipping breakfast altogether, is how tons of people around the world thrive today.
And what about camels storing water in their humps? I mean, you probably picture them as these walking canteens out in the desert. The truth is, they actually store up to 80 pounds of fat as a desert energy reserve, completely busting that old Hollywood fantasy. They are incredible at hydration for sure, but that hump is essentially a portable snack bar that they burn to survive when food is scarce.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, everyday myths busted. Second, the car dealership trap. Third, mastering the 50-30-20 budget. And finally, stock market fundamentals.
Section 1. Everyday myths busted. Everything you know is wrong.
So you know that terrifying idea that we swallow 8 spiders a year in our sleep? Total nonsense. Spiders want absolutely nothing to do with your warm, vibrating, breathing mouth. This entire myth stems from one guy deliberately skewing statistics with a massive 64 billion just to mess with us. The actual odds of this happening are basically absolute zero.
And this brilliantly illustrates our core theme here. If society is this deeply mistaken about biology and history, imagine the incredibly costly lies we believe about our own finances. I mean, why does so many middle-class individuals fiercely prefer the perceived security of traditional jobs over business ownership? It really comes down to a mindset of scarcity and a deep, deep fear of leaving the comfort zone. So what other financial traps are we just blindly walking into because everyone says it's safe?
Section 2. The car dealership trap. Why paying cash costs you more.
When it comes to massive purchases, your own intuition is often your worst enemy. Welcome to the Peter trap. It's this classic middle-class habit of purchasing depreciating liabilities while mistakenly thinking they're assets. Listen, if you walk into a car dealership proudly declaring that you're paying cash, you instantly kill your negotiation leverage and practically ensure you'll pay more for the vehicle. I know, it sounds completely backward, doesn't it? But you have to understand how the system actually works.
The modern dealership model is built on an entirely different foundation today, with a staggering 74% of their revenue coming from completely outside the actual sale of the car. Because of the internet, the price of a car is totally transparent. You can look it up on your phone in like 5 minutes. They just aren't making huge margins on the metal itself anymore. The car itself is literally just a vehicle to get you into the F&I office, the finance and insurance department. This is exactly where the perceived security of the credit score system actually works against you. They take your supposedly secure credit profile, they get a buy rate for a loan at, say, 4% from the bank, and then they bake in an extra 2% to sell it back to you at 6%. That arbitrage, that spread, is pure, hidden profit extracted right out of your pocket.
To beat this system, you've got to play their game. You must negotiate the car price under the guise of financing it. This makes the dealer think they're going to make money off you on the back end, so they'll usually lower the actual sales price of the car. Once you're sitting in the back office, just say no to all the extras. Document fees, warranties, the whole shebang. Make absolutely sure there is no early prepayment penalty on the loan. Then, simply mail the lender a check for the full payoff amount 30 days later. Boom! You just bought a car with cash, but you kept all your negotiation leverage.
Section 3. Mastering the 50-30-20 budget. Giving every dollar a job. What we're looking at here is the 50-30-20 rule. It's a rock-solid framework that divides your after-tax net income into strict categories so your lifestyle never outpaces your wealth. Look, until you actually sit down, write this out, and understand where your after-tax dollars are going, your wants can easily creep right into your needs category, leaving you completely overflowing with debt every single month. You have to be ruthlessly honest with yourself here. A need is something you literally cannot live without. Shelter, groceries, basic health insurance. A want is simply avoiding a minor inconvenience, like grabbing takeout instead of cooking, or buying a fancy brand new grill. The middle class so often falls into a mindset of scarcity here, buying wants just to simulate wealth, which ultimately keeps them trapped in traditional jobs just to pay off the debt. Bottom line, if you won't drop dead without it, it's a want.
The very first target for that 20% savings category absolutely must be an emergency fund capable of covering 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. I know, $12,000 to $24,000 sounds like an insane amount of money to save, but relying on a single employer in a traditional job is way riskier than you think. 1 or 2 layoffs in a family can completely destroy you if you aren't prepared. This fund saves your butt. And whatever is left in that 20% category goes toward completely smashing your debts.
So, once your financial house is in order and your liabilities are smashed, you face the ultimate question of wealth creation. How do you finally break out of the comfort zone of just being an employee and make your money work for you? Because just saving money isn't enough. You actually have to invest it.
Section 4. Stock Market Fundamentals. Owning a piece of the pie.
Look, if the fear of leaving your comfort zone keeps you from starting your own business, the stock market is your alternative. When you buy a stock, you aren't just trading some random ticker symbol on a screen. You are literally buying a fractional piece of a real, living, breathing business. You become an owner with a claim to their assets and earnings without ever having to quit your day job. It is absolutely vital to stop viewing the stock market as a casino and start viewing it as a marketplace of real companies. But not all companies are created equal. That's why your portfolio strategy will depend entirely on whether you want rapid expansion, steady cash flow, or a bargain hunt. Growth stocks are expanding rapidly, but they usually reinvest everything so they don't pay you a dividend. Income stocks, on the other hand, offer steady cash flow through regular dividend payments. And value stocks are basically the bargain bin. These are companies currently trading below what they are intrinsically worth. To evaluate these companies properly without just guessing, investors rely on concrete financial ratios. The PE ratio, for instance, tells you exactly how much you are paying for one single dollar of the company's earnings. Then you have the PEG ratio, which actually factors in the company's growth rate. Return on assets and return on equity tell you how efficiently the management team is using their resources to generate a profit. You don't have to be a math genius for this stuff, you just need to know how to read the vital signs of a business.
But hey, a quick reality check here. Investing always carries risk, and literally nothing protects your hard-earned money better than your own dedicated research. The stock market is not a guaranteed win, for sure, but understanding these fundamental concepts minimizes your risk and puts the power right back in your hands. Never, ever invest blindly just because someone told you a stock was hot. You have unlearned the myths, you know the traps of purchasing liabilities, and you have the frameworks to stop relying on the false security of traditional jobs. So, my question to you is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to stay in the comfort zone on autopilot, or are you going to step up and build real wealth? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll see you next time.